The Hare and the Tortoise. Once upon a time, in a green forest filled with tall trees, singing birds, and cool streams, lived a hare and a tortoise. The hare was known throughout the forest for his speed. His long legs could carry him across fields in the blink of an eye, and all the animals admired how fast he could run. He was proud of this gift, and perhaps a little too proud. The tortoise, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. She moved slowly, one step at a time, with a heavy shell on her back, yet she was calm, patient, and never complained. One bright morning, the hare came hopping down a forest path, and noticed the tortoise plodding along. As usual, he laughed loudly and shouted, My, tortoise, you move so slowly. Look at you by the time you take 10 steps. I could run to the hill and back. How do you ever expect to get anywhere? The tortoise stopped, looked up at him, and replied in a quiet but firm voice, You may be swift, hare, but you should not mock others for moving at their own pace. Life is not always about speed. The hare smirked, tossing his ears proudly. Not about speed. Don't be foolish. Everyone knows I am the fastest creature in the forest. No one could ever defeat me in a race. The tortoise, tired of the hare's arrogance, calmly said, Why don't we put it to the test? Let's have a race, you and me. Then we will see who is truly the winner. The hare burst into laughter. A race? You must be joking. This will be the easiest victory of my life. But if you insist, I accept your challenge. Soon the news of the race spread across the forest. The birds flew from tree to tree announcing it. The squirrels chattered with excitement. And even the wise old owl came out to see what would happen. All the animals gathered near the meadow where the race would begin. They were eager to witness this unusual competition. The fox was chosen as the judge. He raised his paw and explained, The race will begin here at the old oak tree. The finishing line will be the big rock at the top of the hill. Whoever reaches it first will be the winner. The hare stretched his legs, confident and proud, while the tortoise stood steady, determined but calm. On your marks, get set, go, shouted the fox. Off they went. The hare leaped forward in great bounds, covering ground so quickly that within moments he was far ahead. The tortoise, as expected, started slowly. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Her pace never changed, but she moved forward with determination. The animals cheered loudly for the hare, certain that he would win. Go, hare, go, they shouted. But soon he was so far ahead that no one could even see the tortoise behind him. The hare glanced back, chuckled, and said to himself, This is going to be too easy. Poor tortoise, she hasn't even reached halfway. Feeling confident, the hare decided to slow down. He hopped to a shady tree and stretched his legs. There's no need to rush, he thought. The tortoise is so slow that even if I lie down and take a nap, she will never catch me. I can wake up later and still win without trying. With that, he lay down on the soft grass, closed his eyes, and soon drifted into a deep sleep. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept moving. Step after step, she passed the tall grass, crossed a small stream, and climbed steadily up the hill. The sun was hot, and her journey was not easy, but she never gave up. Slow and steady, she whispered to herself. Slow and steady can win the race. Hours passed, and finally, the tortoise reached the spot where the hare was sleeping peacefully. She looked at him, smiled, and quietly continued on her way. She did not mock him or stop. She simply focused on her goal. As the tortoise neared the top of the hill, the cheering of the animals grew louder. Look, look, the tortoise is almost at the finishing line. They cried in surprise. Their shouts woke the hare from his nap. He rubbed his eyes, looked around, and was shocked to see the tortoise far ahead of him, nearly at the rock. Panicked, the hare jumped up and ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He darted past the trees, leaped over bushes, and pushed himself harder than ever before. But it was too late. Just as he reached the top of the hill, the tortoise took her final step and touched the rock. The animals erupted in cheers. The tortoise wins! The tortoise wins! They shouted joyfully. The hare, panting and ashamed, hung his head low. He had underestimated his slow-moving friend and overestimated his own ability. The tortoise, still calm, turned to him and said kindly, "You see, Hare, it is not always the fastest or the strongest who wins. Consistency, determination, and patience are just as important. You laughed at me for being slow, but slow and steady has brought me to victory." The hare nodded humbly, realizing his mistake. From that day forward, he never boasted of his speed again. He learned to respect others, no matter how small or slow they seemed. And so, the story teaches us a timeless lesson. Arrogance and overconfidence can lead to failure, while patience and perseverance can lead to success. In life, it is not enough to start fast. One must keep moving steadily toward the goal.